make sure that everybody fully understands. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, but it's a very important point.
Go ahead.
The federal district courts are in each state, but they're only in there as a result of an agreement between the federal and the state, because the federal court can't even enter a state without the state's permission. We can't go there unless we're invited in, because when that republic comes in to the federal system as a part of the unified federal system, they give us permission to put district courts, which just handle federal cases in their states. And this is the reason that this is what we're going to be discussing tonight, to try to clear that up. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thanks. No, okay. And so what we're looking at doing to provide remedy for the people, since all the cases, or most of the cases out there, are of a federal nature, the county grand juries and the state grand juries really do not have lawful standing in dealing with these issues. Therefore, we don't have a remedy. When the states reincorporated back in the 60s because of that act that was passed in 62, they had a deadline up until 69 to have everything reincorporated as a sub-corporation of the federal corporation. And in 74 through 76, Congress passed the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, like I had mentioned in the email, as a remedy for the people of America that are dissatisfied with public policy. In other words, they gave us a way out, because they had taken all the court system, the judges, and everywhere you go, they are of a foreign nature. They are foreign to the people. So the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act is accessed through the federal district courts if you know how to use them. That is where in our remedy lies. So what we're looking to do is establishing the federal grand juries in each of the states, and, well, let me back up, the federal justice in each of the states to call into action a federal grand jury. Is that clear, Tim?
Well, the Supreme Court justices would do that. They would appoint the justice for each state, the chief justice for each state for the district court system. But see, this is the issue that we're getting confused, I believe, out there. That has absolutely nothing to do with the operation of a state. The only time these courts act is when somebody in the state is accused of a federal crime and it's brought to the district court level. We cannot interfere in state courts. We cannot interfere in county courts. We cannot interfere in municipal courts. We can't get involved in those. We have no authority or jurisdiction whatsoever. Our authority and jurisdiction only lies at the district court level, period. There is no, when you come out of the district court, you appeal it to the Supreme Court level. When you come out, you go through an appellate and then a Supreme Court level. So we can't do, that's two completely different separate things. The state, county, and municipal courts are operated within the state. The district court system is a whole other layer of courts that operate under the federal system, and they're only allowed in the state by the permission of the state. We can't even do anything. We can't even put a district court in that state without the permission of the people, of the legislators of that state. We can't do that because the state is a sovereign and free, independent republic. We have absolutely zero control over a state, and we don't want control over the states. And this is the issue that I think that people don't understand. When I say we're going to put a court in the state, they think that I'm trying to take over the state, and that's not what we're talking about at all. This is to help the people and give them remedy in each state when they've been accused of a federal crime, because no other jurisdiction or venue can do that except the district court level. And so they don't seem to understand it, and I'm hoping that I'm explaining it well enough. So the grand juries that we have called are working with us as at the federal level, district court level in each state. And that's what we're trying to set up, because those are the most serious issues that we deal with. Now, if you'll remember a few weeks ago, I asked everybody to elect a governor and a chief justice for the state. If y'all can recall, we did that a few weeks ago. The purpose of that was, and I told them at the time, the purpose of that is to establish the state courts and start working in the state system and putting that together. We can't do that. We have zero say in what you do in a state. You have to do that. We, the people, have to create their state governments. So what you need, what I suggest that everybody does is get their state constitution, and you can abide by exactly what it says, or you can alter it or change it if you want to. We, the people, are the authority. They are the law, and they can do as they please. This is what I'm trying to tell you. And this is what I get beat up over more than anything else. People don't understand self-governance. Self-governance means that we are the government, that we make the decisions. We don't have to do what the Founding Fathers did 200 years ago or 230 years ago. We can alter it or change it by a vote of Congress if we choose to do it, because we are the people. And I know it's been very frustrating, and I apologize if I appear to be that way, but I'm trying to get this point across, and I hope that I'm doing it well, because so far I have failed miserably to get that point across to the people. And I'm sorry, Nathan, I get carried away. But,
no, that's fine.
But it's such an important point for them to understand.
Okay, I have a question. What would you suggest the action we should take in light of what we had just explained, and in the viewpoint of, I believe a lot of the grand juries out there probably didn't undertake to be a grand jury at the federal level. They probably thought they were state grand jury or even starting county grand juries.
Well, they are state grand juries. They are state grand juries because they are working in that particular state, but they work at the district court level. And that's where the confusion has been. They didn't understand that. And as you know, I was not involved in putting the juries together. I didn't really have a whole lot of involvement in this because I was busy doing other things. Okay? And I thought that people understood that. I guess that's partially my fault, because I assumed that the people understood what we were trying to do. And it's obvious now that they didn't. That the juries that we called forward, we don't have the authority to go down into the state level and call a jury to in the state court. The only thing we can deal with as the executive branch is issues in the federal system, as you said. We cannot go into the state, period. I don't have the ability, the authority, or the desire to do that. Now, if any state needs guidance, we'll give them guidance, but I don't want to get involved in state business, period, because that's not where we belong. And that actually will be a violation of the oath of office of the President of the Republic, because he can't involve himself with state issues. He doesn't have any jurisdiction or authority. And I think that has been a misconception about what we were trying to do. So when I talk about the grand juries that we've created, my presumption is they would be working at the district court level all along. I had no idea what they were doing. I didn't know that they thought they were county or state grand juries. I thought that they understood, and I apologize to all of you because I didn't make this clear, and I can see looking back now that it just wasn't made very clear to you, and it's my fault. I should have done that. But I made an assumption that everybody understood what I was talking about instead of explaining what I was talking about. So it's my fault that a lot of this happened, because I don't think I assumed that everybody knew what I was talking about, but I think that I didn't make it very clear.
Okay, so what would you suggest the plan of action to go ahead with this and getting the grand jury or the federal grand juries called into action as the justice of the Supreme Court?
Okay, the only thing we need now to bring the juries that we have into place is have them called by the justices of the one Supreme Court. Okay.
Can I interject on this, Tim?
Yes, go ahead.
For the last week, we've been preparing the document and collecting all the signatures. I am physically holding 2 original copies of with all 5 justices' signatures on me. I'll be scanning them and sending them out to the Supreme Court justices for final approval and for distribution to the governors by tomorrow.
Right, and I appreciate that, and I know you've been working very hard on this, and I appreciate the justices. These guys have been working very hard too, and I do appreciate every one of them. These guys are most of them are very remarkable men, and they're going to do great things in this country, and look forward to working with them very closely. We've all been overworked and trying to pull things together, but these things that we're doing have to be done, and they have to be done in a timely manner. We we are trying to put a structure together so I can actually document the structure of this government to other governments around the world so we will be recognized fully by them. We have commitments from many, verbal commitments from many countries that will recognize us, but they all tell us the same thing. Your government isn't complete yet. And I agree, it is not complete yet. Although we have re-inhabited the original jurisdiction government, we have yet to put all the pieces together. But we are very, very close. And that's why I'm trying to explain the urgency that we need Congress to pull together. We need to get their committees together. We need to quit this infighting and bickering that's going on. It's only a handful of people doing it. 99% of the people are 100% on board. It's that 1% out there that keeps stirring up the stuff. And I can tell you something now. I'll go ahead and tell you about this. Okay? I have intelligence reports from very high up in intelligence sources across the world, in this country as well as other countries, that have explained to me that there is a movement, an organized movement to stop this republic. And it's coming from the corporation and others, not just this corporation, but there are others too. And they have agents that are working among your midst to create this turmoil, folks. I even have some of their names. I know who some of them are. And they have been dismissed from the republic at any national level, but I can't dismiss the ones that are at the state level. I don't have the authority. Now, that's up to the states. So if you've got somebody that keeps stirring up problems over little nitpicking stuff all the time, the chances are very, very good that they are working with this group. Now, that doesn't mean they're all agents. That doesn't mean they are all agents. Some of them are being used by the agents. But it doesn't matter. The effect is the same, and they're causing disunity among this republic to get the result of destroying what we're trying to do. And that is an organized effort, and I have confirmation from intelligence services that that is going on right now among our ranks of members in this republic. And that needs to be stopped, and it can only be stopped. I've done my job to stop it at the national level or the federal level, but you guys have got to do it at the state level. I can't do that. And I need you to stand up. The people of this country have got to rise up and unite. And and there's only a handful of people across this whole country. There's less than a dozen people in the whole country, and including Alaska and Hawaii, and all 50 republics that are causing a problem. There's less than a dozen of them, folks. All the rest of you guys are very supportive of what we're trying to do. But that dozen are constantly emailing and trying to stir up more problems. There's less than a dozen. There's not even that many. But they're constantly, and we are constantly being bombarded by emails and you can read the emails and tell where the origin of it came from, because they're all saying the same thing. I mean, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. The bottom line is that this is an organized effort to derail this republic. And whether they're just being used or whether they're outright agents, they are doing this, and they're trying to stir up trouble and cause us a problem. And so you need to be aware of that, and you need to deal with the problem. If you have some of those problems in your state, deal with it, folks. This government is your government. Don't let a handful of people that are just trying to stir up trouble stop this process. Because 99% of you understand and are on board, and that 1% is trying to derail us. Not even 1%, a third of 1%.
Can I make a comment to that, Tim?
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'd like to add a comment to that, Tim, before we go on to the next subject, and that is about causing and stirring up trouble. In my years of experience of consulting, there's usually two reasons why people look for a reason to stir up trouble. The first reason is they are usually trying to find a doorway to tear something down or to tear down what you're doing. That's usually the first reason. Reason number two they stir up trouble and they pick on little things is they actually are genuinely concerned. They actually have genuine concerns.